Hi, I'm Tommy.
And I'm Paul.
Welcome to our podcast, Dementia from the Inside Out. Hello and welcome to everyone around the world to our podcast, Dementia from the Inside Out. I'm Tommy Dunn and I'm living with Alzheimer's.
I'm Paul Hitchmo, also living with Alzheimer's.
Today we're going to be chatting about carers recognition. Yes, we'll be chatting about this very important topic, the other invisible people in dementia, carers.
You as a family carer face an increased risk for depression, chronic illness and a possible decline in family life.
Yeah, but all this can be seen by the government and society as an acceptable thing because, after all, they are your family.
Just as most people think that all people living with dementia are elderly, we should never forget that they're the children that are carers.
Yeah, someone that's been recently diagnosed with dementia is likely to experience a whole range of emotions, including shock, fear, disbelief, loss, anger. The same thing can happen to the family carer.
Carers need to be aware that people living with dementia pick up on an anticipatory grief.
We know we have feelings of grief or loss, but we feel it too, and we need to see you smile.
A diagnosis of dementia is given to the person living with dementia and their carers. The person living with dementia will be ignored, but the family carer is forgotten.
Yeah, family carers should monitor themselves for signs of burnout, such as anger, anxiety, irritability, depression, and feeling extremely tired and sleep problems.
Carers need to balance the independence of the person living with dementia against any safety concerns and the desire to support the person to stay safe and well. Many carers initially feel some sense of relief when the person with dementia dies, then feel ashamed or shocked that they have had these feelings.
Yeah, relief is a normal reaction. Many carers go through much of the grieving process throughout the illness as the person living with dementia slowly vanishes.
You must remember to always put yourself and your own family first throughout the dementia process.
Yes, you must come first. The worst guilt you can feel is feeling guilty for not feeling guilty.
There's no such thing as the perfect carer.
Remember that it's all right to make mistakes, and it's important not to be too hard on yourself.
So don't try and do everything yourself.
Be realistic about what you can achieve, and ask for help from the beginning, not when you are just ill or stressed out.
Look for ways of expressing your irritation away from people living with dementia by finding the space, time to have a good shout.
Yeah, everyone needs to recharge their batteries, so don't bottle up your feelings. Explore ways to relieve the tension. For example, talking it through with someone.
It's easy to feel trapped if you are a carer.
Perhaps you wanted to continue with a full-time career rather than devote yourself to caring, but you felt that this was selfish.
Perhaps your partner developed dementia just as you were about to end the relationship.
Carers often feel that moving the person into a home is the ultimate betrayal. You may feel that you've let the person down.
You may have previously promised people living with dementia that you would always look after them at home, and now you have to break that promise.
But you need to get away from dementia. You need time to relax and be pampered.
No one can take care of somebody who has dementia by themselves. If you do, the disease will probably take you down as well.
Carers, when you just start talking to us out the blue, it really does come as a shock at first, and we miss the first part of the conversation.
To survive the caring process, you need to look after yourself and not judge yourself too harshly. I'd like to say others won't, but I know society too well.
As dementia progresses, the person living with dementia may become less aware of the condition and the effect on their abilities.
Every day will be different and not get any easier. Each time a loss occurs, you have to make another adjustment to carry on.
But behavioural problems may have an underlying medical condition. Perhaps the person living with dementia is in pain or experiencing an adverse effect from medications.
It's unsettling when people with dementia become suspicious and jealous.
But what they experience is very real to us, so try not to take it personally.
Being a family carer for someone with dementia can be one of the longest, loneliest experiences anyone will ever have.
So what you need to do is let yourself really feel what's inside of you. Let the tears cleanse and relieve the pain.
You need to talk through your feelings with others who you feel will understand what you are going through.
Now, it can be helpful if carers have an understanding of the impact the condition has on the person.
Carers need to balance the independence of the person living with dementia against any safety concerns and the desire to support the person to stay safe and well.
Yeah, people living with dementia should be supported to make decisions for themselves for as long as we can before we eventually lose the capacity to make those certain decisions.
People living with dementia need to be stimulated, but remember, we are not children. We don't lose our intelligence, even when we cannot communicate.
And remember that family members around the person living with dementia will also have their own emotional reactions to cope with.
So it's important that both people living with dementia and the people around them are encouraged to express their feelings.
Yeah, and it's important to recognise and respond to the person's emotional needs and responses. Carers around the people living with dementia will also have their own emotional reactions, as we've said, to cope with.
Behaviour is triggered. It doesn't occur out the blue.
It could be something the person did or said that triggered it, or a change in physical environment. So keep a log of what triggers it.
There's no such thing as a perfect carer. Don't be too hard on yourself. Be realistic and try talking things through with a good friend or listener.
And try to value what the person with dementia can do rather than focus on what they can't do.
Establish a family friend support network and seek out health and social care as you need it.
The best tips are from other people's experience. We as people living with dementia will make mistakes.
But please don't keep saying, let me do it for you all the time. Otherwise, if we don't use it, we lose it.
Now, there will be times when you don't feel that you don't even like the person living with dementia you are caring for very much, let alone love them.
But this is common and normal.
You can help by making time to listen. If you're listening to someone with dementia, think about how things might appear from their perspective.
Don't feel guilty if people living with dementia has to go into respite. The first experience of separation often makes carers feel guilty and unable to relax.
Yeah, depression is a common consequence of being a full-time carer for the person living with dementia.
But you can't help someone else without helping yourself first.
If you have low expectations of our abilities and performance, then expectations have been set, and the person living with dementia will take on the characteristics of that expectations.
Yes, unfortunately, people have very low expectations of what people living with dementia can do.
I mean, children take their confused grandparents at face value, and unlike their parents, they're not full of concerns about why the person has dementia.
ID and memory belong to the whole family rather than just people living with dementia. This means we can remember for each other and hold memories for each other.
I mean, caring is hard work and extremely stressful. Some emotions that arise, such as grief and anger, are healthy responses to challenging circumstances.
These emotions can be useful, helping us to move forward. But other emotions, such as guilt, can be destructive, leaving us feeling powerless or stuck.
It's important to remember that someone with dementia, and you as a carer, are still a unique and valuable person, just like everyone else.
Changes in the dementia can cause changes in the person living with dementia's sense of identity. It's important that people living with dementia is treated as an individual and valued.
As people living with dementia, we are aware of what people are saying about us.
So even if there is no response from us, it hurts to hear people talking about you as if you're not there.
Only a carer with empathy can alleviate the fear that we feel.
Guilt can be a very tiring emotion, consuming energy that you need for other tasks.
I've said it before that you may sometimes want to walk away from your responsibilities or even wish that the person living with dementia was dead. Again, this is normal and common.
Try not to judge yourself. You can't help or control how you feel about the person living with dementia, but you can control how you respond to those feelings.
And carers should accept help too, not least because they're often short of time.
Caring can be stressful and our relationships may change, but caring can also be a positive, rewarding experience.
Carers, remember that laughter is the best medicine for some of the problems you will encounter.
You as a carer will play a vital role in helping a person living with dementia to maintain their independence and confidence.
It's important to have empathy and patience with the person living with dementia, but remember, you cannot fake empathy.
The more you understand that it's not the person living with dementia that is angry with you, the more you will be able to cope.
The trouble is, you're not getting enough sleep. You might not have the patience and energy needed to take care of someone with dementia.
On a plane, an oxygen mask descends. What do?
First rule, you put your own oxygen mask on before you assist anyone.
The same has to apply for carers, as only when you first help yourself can you effectively help the person living with dementia.
Caring for yourself, unfortunately, is one of the most often forgotten things you can do as a carer.
You have got to ensure that your needs are taken care of, and when you do, the person you care for will benefit too.
While caregiving can be an emotional roller coaster, caring for a family member demonstrates love and commitment.
We cannot stress enough there's no such thing as a perfect caregiver.
So thank you for joining us. Drop us an email and your comments. That's our email address here. And any suggestions for any topics you would like us to do in future.
So it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.